Hell, are you here to debate?
How you doing, man?
Chillin', chillin'. You here to debate?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Yeah, Darius, 22, and he, him.
Okay, Darius. What of the points are you here to debate about?
Trans women are women.
I agree. They are.
Oh, I'm debating with you.
Yeah, I know. I know. It was a joke.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think trans women are women, and you do. Or
I sure do.
why do you think trans women are women?
Because I believe that they would meet any necessary condition needed to be a woman.
All right. So what is a woman to you?
Anybody whose gender identity aligns with their personal schema on the female sex.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So what makes a trans woman a woman? Like basically, yeah, you said
Just told you.
blah blah. So like I'm trying to put into context to where I can explain it. So let's say I was born a male. How can I become a woman?
I don't know what you being a male would have to do with it. Gender is a separate concept from sex. It just has like an internal linking to sex. Gender, like broadly, gender is your subjective perception of your sex. So I would
Okay, let
just
me
say
ask you
that,
this.
like, oh, go ahead.
Let's say I'm a man, which I am.
Okay,
Let's say I
you're a
want
man.
to be a woman. How can I become a
Okay.
woman from a man?
Well, most people would typically were never never personally identified as men. It was typically that they always had a conflict in their gender identity, differing from what like society prescribed their gender. Usually, the way you identify with being a woman is just by that you identify as a woman, right? So like that's sort of it. Some people will say that you need to like transition in a specific way. I don't believe this because then that just gets us into uh, like weird things of like women have to look or behave a certain way. I think in order to be a woman, you just have to like in order for you to say I'm a woman, you just have to have an internal sense of self that tells you you're a woman.
I ain't gonna lie, man. That's some crazy ass shit. So look, I'm a man,
Uh
born a
huh.
male or whatever. I say I'm a man. So if I just let's just say I say I'm a woman, that makes me a woman.
If your internal sense of self aligns with your personal schema on the female sex, then yeah, I'd say you're a woman. Yeah,
So if
100%.
I feel on the inside like a woman, that makes me a woman.
That's a way you can phrase it. Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you this. So I'm a black man. If I feel like I'm a white man on the inside, can I be a white man?
No, because race is not an internal sense of self. Race would be a legal identifier that was placed on people in order to utilize a form of oppression. There's no like black gene, right? I'm not black because like I have black genetics. I'm black because of the legal clarification of the phenotype of my skin color black. So yeah, no, you can't like identify as a different race because that's a legal identifier.
Hold on. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I get that.
Hmm.
So, all right. So let's. Have you ever seen a trans woman in real life?
Yeah, I'm friends with tons of them.
All right. What does that
Trans
look
men too.
like to you? What does that look like to you?
Same thing a cis woman would look like. It's all different. Like trans women, just like cis women, come in all different shapes, sizes, colors.
Okay. Look. So why do trans women? Why do they get like breast implants and BBLs? Because they know
Why do cis women
exactly
get
what
those?
a woman is. They get breast and their ass is done. They get their wee wee cut off because they know a woman at heart is a fucking female.
Yeah, I would just say, why do cis women get breast implants and BBLs?
I don't know what a cis woman is. What is a cis woman?
It would be the
I
opposite
never
of
I
a
never
trans woman.
understood what it is.
A cis woman is trans and cis are two opposite words. Cis is just the opposite of trans.
Cis is the opposite of trans.
Yep.
So like so like a I don't. Can you explain? Can you explain
Well, you
more
know
into
what the do you
detail?
know what the opposite of tall is?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So there you go. So cis
So
would
what
be
the
the opposite.
hell?
So somebody who is not trans would be cisgender. They wouldn't be transgender.
Okay, so like okay, so like a male identifying as a man or a man identifying as a man is a cis man.
So a cis man would be a man whose sex is male, and a cis woman would be a woman whose sex is female. A trans woman would be a woman whose sex is male, typically, and would a trans man would be a man whose sex is male, typically. They're just two sides of the same coin, which is gender.
So in my opinion, man, it wasn't no such thing as a trans or a cis until Obama came into office and he pushed that agenda. A
Well, trans
trans, there
people
was
have
no such
existed for
thing as a
centuries.
trans. Listen, there was no such thing as a transgender until Obama got into office. Everybody knows that. Like
Yeah, you
before
would just
Obama,
okay. Go
nobody
ahead.
knew what a transgender was.
Yeah, you just because you don't know what it is doesn't mean it didn't exist. Trans people have existed for a century. We have like evidence of trans people who
No.
existed. Hold on, I'd like to finish, please. We have evidence of trans people who existed back in like ancient Mesopotamia. I mean, the first gender surgery was what in the 30s, I think it was.
Okay, so gender surgery. What's gender surgery?
Well, gender related surgery would be what we now call like transition surgery, so like top surgery or
Okay,
bottom
so it
surgery.
has to do with sex then. It has to do with sex.
Well, no, when you're having surgery, well, hold on. First and foremost, gender and sex are like interlinked, right? Gender and sex are two different things, but they're interlinked. They have a connection. So some people get gender affirming surgery, right? And this is because they want their phenotypic expression of their sex to match their gender identity and their internalized perception of their sex,
Okay,
which is
so it has
something.
to do with
Hold on, really
sex.
quickly, really quickly. Well, yeah, I already said the gender and sex are connected. Yeah, nobody's making the argument that they're not connected. They have a direct interlinking with each other. But this would be the same thing as if like let's say I have a cisgender woman who is flat chested and this makes her feel like less of a woman, so she decides to get breast surgery. She decides to get breast augmentation. This is the exact same thing. This is a
That's
surgical procedure
okay,
that has
but
helped make her feel more like a woman.
okay, can I say something? All right,
Sure.
so look, let's say she's a female and she identifies as a hold on. She's a female, but she identifies as a woman, but she got small titties, so she get bigger titties to look more of like a female.
Mm-hmm. I would say she
So
didn't
they the
grow
same
bigger.
thing.
Well, hold on. I would say she didn't grow bigger breasts to look more like a female because there are females with small breasts, right? The size of your breast doesn't indicate your femaleness. She did it to match some sort of internalized perception that she has of her bodies. And a lot of times this can be influenced by the world around us. So, like, we live in a hypersexualized world that emphasizes the female breast. So, people can have this internalized thing where, well, because I don't have the female breasts in this way, I feel like less of a woman. And both cis women and trans women can both experience this. This isn't a negative. This is just something that people do. Just like for instance, some people can feel like less of a man when they don't have facial hair, so they grow a beard. Some women feel like less of a woman because they grow facial hair. Most women have mustaches, but they shave them because it makes them feel like less of a woman because we live in a society that is hyper critical of the way women look. Which doesn't mean
Okay, so
trans
like,
people aren't
so it has to do. Okay, so when it
attractive.
comes down to it, it has to do with what they look like, not how they feel internally. Like I'm saying, like trans
Well, no.
men.
The reason
Listen,
why.
hold on, look,
Sure.
hold on.
Sure.
So males that are born, no, men that are born males, when they want to um become trans to look like a female, they change, or a woman, they change what they look like to look like a female. So they change their appearance to look like the opposite sex. Name a trans. Look, let me name a trans. Now I'm not gonna tell you the name, but have you ever seen a trans, like a man born, a male born, because this shit confused. Hold on, man. So let's say a male identifies. No, he's born a male, looks like a male or looks like a man, but internally he feels like a female. So that makes him a woman. I mean, man, this shit here, man.
You just like directly describe what being trans is. It is somebody.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
It is somebody whose
has to do with
gender
appearance,
identity.
is what I'm saying.
It is somebody
Ain't
whose
no gender identity. Ain't no feeling on the inside,
exists,
man.
yeah. Gender identity is a thing. It's just an internalized perception of our sex.
Man, look, let me tell you something real quick, because I'm about to have to do something. I appreciate the debate, and I appreciate the conversation, because these conversations they need to be had. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But at the end of the day, people with your mindset that are trans women or women, y'all are fucking up the youth, man. Y'all are fucking up the kids. Like, if we end up having a fucking transgender as a president, we are fucked.
Why? What would be the issue of having somebody who's trans?
Because it's going to make America look weak. It's going to fuck up America. It's going to make the country look weak, man, and we will be attacked and we will be conquered. It ain't good.
You think a trans person is going to make the country look more weak than an 81-year-old?
Of course. 100%. Because it's crazy.
I would argue trans people are probably some of the strongest people. I won't even say strongest. I would say they have the most
strongest. Hell no, they out here committing suicide and shit. They selfish.
I would say
they are some of the most selfish people in the world.
Okay. Two things. One, trans people, trans women, black trans women especially, have some of the highest endurance of like any person ever in what the shit they deal with. And the reason
because
why
they're men, they're born men. What are you talking? They're males.
Hold on. The reason why the trans suicide rate is so high is specifically because of familial and societal ostracization, which is something you're doing right now.
Hold on,
now.
Look, so I'm not playing into their stupidity. I'm not playing, and I'm not entertaining their stupidity. It's stupid. They're killing themselves because they're selfish.
Does not make it stupid.
No, it's because at the end of the day, it was like I said, it wasn't no such thing as a transgender before 2008.
I already proved this wrong. So
Obama, just because you said it don't mean it's true.
Sure, you can go to my link tree in my bio and find resources.
I was born in 2002. I was born in 2002. It wasn't no such thing as a damn trans.
Well, the reason you didn't know about trans people in 2002 is because you were a baby and you couldn't read. Now you're an adult, so open a book. Marsha P. Johnson existed well before 2002, and she was trans.
Okay, but it wasn't you see how they putting all that stuff into books now and putting that shit in elementaries? It wasn't none of that shit in no elementary school.
Becoming more accepting of something, so we're allowing that thing to be more mainstream?
Okay, but look, if they have okay, but are we really accepting it if they out there killing themselves? I hate to say it like that, but
every study that we've done on trans suicide points the reason to be family and societal ostracization, something you are currently engaging in.
Because don't nobody want to play into their stupidity.
Again, something you are currently engaging in is the reason why the trans suicide rate is so high.
No, they're killing themselves because they're getting mad and they're upset that people don't play into their stupidity.
Because of family and societal ostracization. Something you are currently engaging in.
I mean, yeah, you said that about 3 times. 4 times.
Because it doesn't seem to click.
I can see that. Okay, so look, am I wrong for not accepting somebody that chooses to identify as the opposite sex?
Yes.
How is that wrong?
Because you are quite literally engaging in a form of bigotry. You are saying that I will not accept
bigotry?
Somebody. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, look. All right, look, put it like this. I'm not accepting you because you are tricking kids. Because you are fooling kids. You are confusing kids.
I think what confuses kids is when the kid feels that they are something that is completely harmless to them and others, and they have adults like you telling them that they're wrong, or that they're not right, or that they're weak, or that they shouldn't exist. That's what confuses kids.
They are wrong. I'm not saying that they shouldn't exist. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying...
Do you think trans people should exist?
You said what?
Do you believe trans people should exist, yes or no?
I believe that people that are born female and people that are born male, the shit that they are assigned to at birth should exist. I believe everyone on this planet should
Then,
exist.
as you just said, you don't believe trans people should exist because you believe they should stay the sex they were assigned at birth. You don't believe they should exist.
See why you trying to paint that narrative like I'm a bad person or I'm no, that's
You
not
saying
me.
that
What I'm
somebody
saying is
shouldn't exist when they're just engaging in a part of themselves that is not only consensual but harmless to the people around them, this is a form of bigotry and this is
I
bad.
believe male and females should exist on this planet.
Great. Do you believe that men, or I'll say this, do you believe males should be able to identify as women?
I believe males. I believe male and male. I mean male and men. I believe that sex and gender is the same thing. Ain't no such thing as a gender identity. You cannot change your gender identity because you are born. Sex and gender is the same thing. That shit wasn't the same. They just changed that shit. It was always the same before 2008. I keep telling you this shit.
So you can even go back to the etymology of the words sex and gender. They've never been the same thing.
Man, stop
Now
using
we
these
have
big ass words I ain't never heard of, man. That shit ain't fair.
etymology is just a
I ain't never heard
phrase
of that.
that means the origin of a word.
What did that mean?
So where a word
You
comes
said
from.
what?
So when we talk about etymology, we're just talking about the history of where a word comes from and how words were
okay.
originally used. So when we look at the etymology of sex and the etymology of gender, those two words have never meant the same thing. Now we did start to interuse them because it just benefited us societally when we look at like the way we would categorize things, but we've sort of come to the conclusion that this categorization was wrong, and as our understanding of this has changed, so too has our use of the words changed. Now the words sex and gender have two very different meanings while being correlated. One refers to the biological aspects
You
of
just
our
said
identity.
now. You just said now they had different meanings. So before they had the same meaning.
I said that at one point in human history, we started to use them interchangeably, and then now we've gone back to them meaning two different things like they originally did.
Man. Oh, so hold on. So you believe that trans women are women, but
Yes.
they go out there and they get their breasts and their asses done to look more of like a woman because
Cisgender
at
women
heart
do
they
this
know
too.
a woman is a goddamn female.
So again, cisgender women also get their breasts and asses done. Doesn't make them any less of a woman because they do this.
I mean, look, I'm not hating on nobody for, you know what I'm saying, identifying what they want to identify. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I have, like, less respect for them. I just think they fucked up in the head.
Yeah, so do you think it might lead to a higher suicide rate when there's an entire group of people who are doing something that not only has psychological medicine found no linking, like being gender incongruent, they found no linking to mental illness through that, but like who are just living their lives, some of them happily, some of them might not be happy, but like who for the most part are living their lives, and you go that they're fucked up in the head. Do you think there might be
so they killing themselves. They killing themselves because they're getting bullied on some shit that they believe in.
They're killing themselves because of familial and societal ostracization. LGBTQ
So bullying
kids,
is what you're saying. They're getting bullied.
Hold on really quickly. LGBTQ children, specifically trans children, are the most likely of teens and young adults to be homeless out of any other demographic.
Hold on. Repeat that. I'm sorry. Repeat that.
LGBTQ children, specifically trans children.
Children, you see here, children. How the hell a child gonna change their gender or their sex?
Can I finish my sentence, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
LGBTQ children, trans teens, LGBTQ teens are most likely to be homeless out of any other demographic of children and teenagers because their
family is they're not accepting the shit that they are getting from fucking school and the internet. That's why.
So the answer for their parents
and they running away. Their parents not kicking them out. They running away.
Their parents kick them out all the time.
Okay, but most of the time they running away.
Because they're being
because
abused.
they getting bullied at school because their parents trying to whoop that bullshit about their head.
Because they're being abused.
No, disciplined. Discipline and abuse is different. They're being disciplined. The same
How
way,
do
the
you
same reason
discipline?
why parents send gay children to boot camp is for discipline.
Yeah, so are you talking conversion camp?
I'm talking boot camp.
What is a boot camp?
I ain't never been, but I know that's where parents send their children when they're acting up and they're gay. Shit, they're gay.
So you believe parents send their children to camps because their children are gay?
Some do.
And those camps do what? Do those camps try to get the kids to be straight?
Nah, they just show them how to be a man, or yeah, they show them how to be a man.
Well, I
You
thought
see
the
what I'm
only way
saying?
to be a man was to be male. Why would they need to learn any other skill to be a man if the only thing you need is to be male?
So basically, what I'm trying to say is they make them more masculine, and they take that feminine shit up out of them. You know what I'm saying?
So men can't be feminine?
They can be feminine, but they can't. They can be feminine. Like nowadays, that shit is accepted. Well, it's not accepted because when it comes to dating a woman, don't no woman want no feminine ass man.
So
They need to be masculine. Men need to be masculine.
Women don't want to date feminine men, but you said the men are gay. So what would it matter if women want to date them if they're gay?
What I'm trying to say is, some parents, a small percentage of parents, send their gay children to boot camp to straighten them out. Put it like that, just to straighten them out. Yeah, to straighten them out.
Okay. So to make them straight. That's conversion camp.
I mean, you can say it's conversion camp, but it's not just for conversion though. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not just for conversion.
Do you know that conversion camps increase the likelihood of children who are LGBTQIA+ to kill themselves?
Man, at the end of the day, it's an agenda that is pushed that shouldn't be pushed.
Who's pushing the agenda?
I'm telling you, man, it wasn't. I just told you it started with Obama. And now it's into the schools, and now it's the teachers.
Mm-hmm. Can you show me like an Obama policy that was pushing this agenda into schools?
A policy? No, I can't say no policy.
Okay,
but what I'm trying to say is he wasn't preventing these nasty ass books. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't preventing these books. Yes, the books.
What books specifically?
I can't name no title because I don't read the shit. But I seen posts and all types of videos and shit to where like people like dads were bringing these books to these city meetings and these school board meetings talking about like inappropriate things in a book. So there's books out there still in these libraries that shouldn't be in these libraries.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just Googled this, and I found a book that is in some schools where apparently a daughter, like, drugs and rapes her father. Is this one of those books?
See, that's some unrealistic shit. That's some unrealistic shit. You ain't never heard. That's fiction. That's nonfiction.
I would say most books in kids' libraries tend to be nonfiction. Yeah, they have a large
Yes, but look at what you're talking about, though. But at the end of the day, look what.
But wait,
look what's in the school, though.
Hold on, I just Googled this.
Why is there a book in the school? Listen, why is there a book in the school? Period, about a child drugging and raping her father? That shit should not be in no damn library.
I agree with you. So how do we get the Bible out of school libraries?
How do we get the Bible out of it?
Yeah, that's from the Bible. That's the story of Lot and his daughter from the Bible. How do we get the Bible out of libraries?
I don't know. I don't believe in the Bible.
No,
but you're telling me that story that you just told me, the story that you just told me is from the Bible.
Yes, Lot and his daughters, yes. Genesis 19:30 through 38, yeah.
See, I never heard of that. But at the end of the day, like I said, I don't believe in the Bible.
Sure, but I'm just asking.
I believe that the Bible was created by man.
Sure, but you agree we shouldn't have it in the schools, right?
I mean, because when you go back in history, Christianity and the Bible was actually taught in school. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it
Sure.
originally was. That's how school started. You know what I'm saying? They was teaching the Bible.
Sure. And I'm just making sure you agree. You like all these other books, you think the Bible should also be taken out of the schools.
Okay, but at the same time, the Bible, it ain't really read in school at all nowadays. Don't nobody read the Bible in school no more like that, except for like those Christian schools. Like mostly like these public schools. When I was in public school, we ain't never read no scripture from the Bible. So that's rare when it comes to a school actually teaching and preaching about the Bible. That's mostly in just Christian schools where they do that.
The
But
Bible
at the same time, those
is in
Christian
like
schools,
every
those
library
look,
in school. But okay.
okay, but what I'm trying to say is hardly nobody picks those books up. But at the same time, those Christian schools that actually have the Bible, they don't have them other nasty ass books that are in these public schools
Okay,
talking about like gays,
can
you
you
know what I'm saying,
point to
having
me
intercourse and shit.
can you point to me a single class in a single school in the entirety of the US where a book was read in class by the teacher and studied about how to have gay sex?
Repeat that. I wasn't listening. I'm sorry.
Can you point me to any book taught in any school by a teacher for a class curriculum that is teaching children how to have gay sex?
No, they don't teach it. It's just they're allowed. They're in hands reach of kids reading those books to
So is the
themselves.
Bible.
The
The Bible
teachers
is
don't
also in
read
hands
those
reach.
books. Okay, but the kids don't pick up the Bible nowadays. What I'm trying to tell you.
Plenty of kids pick up the Bible. What are you talking about?
But in public schools, man, I was
Okay,
in
so as
public
long as these
school,
books, as long
K
as
through
kids don't
12.
like majority pick up these books, then it's okay to have them there.
Kids don't even read nowadays anyway. Kids on their phones. Kids don't even go outside no more. They
So then
play
what do we
video
care what
games.
books are in the library if they're not reading them?
Okay, but look, so why are kids converting themselves with no knowledge of what damage they can do to their bodies when they go in for these surgeries? How
Kids
are
aren't
they even
converting
how are
themselves.
they doing that?
Kids, I just, if you don't know, in the United States, children can't go and get surgeries without their parents'
Okay, but with
consent.
their parents, okay, that's what I'm saying. So their parents, they're giving. Why are the parents allowing these kids to do that?
Because the parents and doctors have come to the decision that this is the best choice
And
for the
then
child.
those parents tend to be gay and lesbian and shit.
Not true, but okay.
And they tend to be Kamala Harris supporters.
Okay, so then
Whatever her name is.
what do you say about trans people that are born to like conservative households where their parents are like Donald Trump
They
supporters?
tend to be they tend to be more. I'm trying to see how I should put this. Repeat the question again.
How do you contend with the fact that there are children who are born to conservative households with conservative parents?
I'll tell you one thing, and this is a great answer to your question.
Okay.
But the kids that are born to conservative households tend to have better outcomes when it comes to them growing up. You know what I'm saying? And
Do you
being
have proof of this?
You said what?
Do you have proof of this?
I can't really. No, I ain't got no proof.
Oh, okay.
I ain't got no proof, but this is just off of what I'm trying to say is
It's just trust me, bro.
those
Right?
parents. You said what?
It's just like trust me, bro, right?
Yeah, trust me, bro. Trust me, bro.
Okay, no problem. Well, we've been chatting for about 30 minutes, so I'm going to move on to the next guest.
All right, man. Have a good one, man.
Yep, you too.